Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a really fascinating framework today by Aries Chan. It's called the Distributed Results Framework, advocating for remote value.
Yeah, it's a great read.
It really is. And our mission for you listening today is pretty simple. We are unpacking exactly how you can successfully advocate for remote work, especially in those, traditional institutions that are just terrified of change.
Which is most of them, right?
Right. And you do this by shifting the focus entirely to undeniable output. It's funny watching large institutions try to solve modern problems. Like national and provincial governments have actually started pivoting to a 4-day work week just to mitigate systemic logistics costs.
Right, the commute costs and overhead.
Exactly. But the second you mention the words work from home, the brakes just slam on. Like, why is there such intense hesitation?
Well, the hesitation isn't about lacking technology. I mean, we've had the digital infrastructure for years now. The real bottleneck is just a profound lack of trust. Leadership is gripped by what Chan calls visibility loss. It's this deeply ingrained, slightly outdated idea that if a manager can't physically see a staff member sitting at a desk in the Capitol building, that person simply isn't working.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because judging productivity by chair time is like judging a chef by how many hours they stand in the kitchen,
Right.
rather than how the food actually tastes.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And to fix it, you have to force a complete mindset shift. You stop walking into your manager's office asking for permission to stay home, framing it as some sort of personal favor.
Because that puts you in a weak position right away.
Exactly. Instead, you propose a distributed results framework.
Yeah.
You basically define your value purely by your intellectual contribution and measurable output. You completely decouple your worth from your physical location.
But realistically, you can't just declare you're on a distributed framework and walk out the door.
Oh, no, definitely not.
You need a wedge to prove it works before asking for a permanent policy change.
Right, so you pitch a beta test. You propose a highly specific limited trial targeting roles that inherently produce high digital output. Think about researchers or speechwriters at a provincial legislature.
Like the Sengunyang Panlalawigan.
Exactly. You use these roles as a controlled experiment. You prove the institution can maintain its rigorous pace without physical proximity.
Hold on, though. Put yourself in the manager's shoes for a second. If my staff isn't visible, my immediate fear is that they are just sitting on the couch watching TV.
Sure, the classic fear.
Right. So how does a limited trial actually solve that deeply rooted trust deficit?
This is where Chan introduces strategic verification.
Hmm.
Remote work only survives if your digital trail is absolutely ironclad. You hand over document metadata.
Wait, metadata? Like what?
Things like creation timestamps, detailed edit histories, version controls. You aren't just saying you worked. You are mathematically proving it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, handing over a 50-page document with minute-by-minute edit timestamps definitely shuts down the watching TV argument pretty quickly.
It completely replaces the manager's psychological need to see you at a desk. You transform the setup from a risky favor into a proven alternative that actively reduces overhead.
I see that. But even an ironclad beta test doesn't erase a century of office culture. I imagine leadership will still demand physical presence the second a major assembly or plenary session rolls around.
Oh, they will, which is why your proposal has to include an honest hybrid compatibility audit.
Meaning you compromise.
Exactly. You readily concede that physical presence is non-negotiable for highly interactive events, like those plenary sessions. But you draw a hard line that deep work environments are functionally required for drafting complex committee reports.
Because those are demonstrably better done remotely without office distractions.
Right.
But hiding away to draft reports creates a brand new problem. If you're completely heads down at home, you look unreachable. To the secretariat or the administration running the office, silence feels like absence.
To counter that friction, you overcompensate using the availability protocol. On your remote days, you actively overcommunicate. You respond faster on digital channels, and you give proactive updates.
Oh, I get it. You completely eliminate that visibility cap.
Yes, it builds the operational trust the administration needs to make the arrangement permanent.
Okay, so you've proven the output, and you're highly responsive. The final piece seems to be addressing the broader impact. You suddenly have 2 extra hours in your day because you aren't stuck in traffic. What happens to that time?
You turn it into a reinvestment strategy. You explicitly demonstrate to leadership how the hours saved from a grueling commute are being reinvested into higher quality, deeper research for the office.
So it becomes an undeniable win-win.
Exactly. You save your own money and sanity, and the institution gets better, faster results.
The real takeaway for you listening is that output is the ultimate currency. When your results are mathematically undeniable, taking the initiative to design a comprehensive beta test doesn't just earn you a remote day. It clearly flags you as an organizational leader.
Yeah, you're basically pulling a 20th century workflow into the 21st century. You're building a system where the work speaks for itself, loud and clear.
Which is brilliant. But this leaves us with a really interesting question for you to ponder before we go. If document metadata and undeniable digital output become the ultimate proof of a worker's value, what happens to traditional water cooler networking?
That is the big question.
In the future, will promotions go purely to the best digital producers? Or will physical in-office charisma always secretly hold the real power? Will the best chefs be the ones making the best food, or just the ones who know how to chat up the owner in the kitchen?